and gentlemen, welcome back to Mark2Mark. I am Parley Rose, and this is your one-stop sports lounge where there will be many conversations from right here in the home turf to the global sport. Okay, and with me, I'm privileged to be with two amazing people. On my right, we have Ssali, who will be telling us more when we get into the sports bit, and then on my left, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we have Mark Namanya. Yes, you're welcome back. Let's just dive into it right now. Today on our menu we have, the usual, the home special. We'll be talking about the Uganda Cranes making it to the 2025 AFCON Cup, right? And then the big abroad, we'll be looking at Ruben Amorim's impact right now, what's happening there. And then we'll be looking at the European football. We have Cristiano Ronaldo, the CR7, like they call him. Yeah, he's becoming unstoppable. And then we'll be looking at Man City versus Spurs. And then we have AC Milan versus Juventus. And then elsewhere abroad, we'll be looking into Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, yeah. And then also the NBA Cup. And then later we'll be coming back home with Mark Namanya taking us through the golf series. And then later we'll look into the City Oilers and the bulk challenges. Then later I'll come with my take, and eventually we end with our predictions. So now, back to the top. We have the home special, Uganda Cranes. Yes, we know that I've made it to the 2025 AFCON. But hold on, is this the time to pop champagne, or we should first leave it to chill a bit? I don't know, let's unpack this and see how it goes.
I think, first and foremost, Uganda qualified before the game against South Africa at Namanya. And they popped champagne before that game. Obviously, there were many celebratory scenes in camp involving the players, the coaches, the FA president, and fans all over the country, because the country has missed on AFCON for a couple of editions. The last time Uganda was at AFCON was in 2019 when Egypt hosted that competition. Since then, I think there have been 2 tournaments, and Uganda hasn't appeared in those ones. So it was something, I think, worth celebrating. But I think the timing of that celebration, I think, was ill-advised, because we had a game to take care of. We had the big opponent, the seeded team of the group, South Africa, in the country. And I think professionally, it was very, very important for the boys to keep their foot on the gas, to keep their heads in the zone of a game against the seeded team in the tournament, which is in the group, which is South Africa. I think the celebrations went overboard, and it told in the way the national team was torn to shreds by Bafana team, which barely got into second and third gear. I thought they were in control of that game from the onset. They passed us into a stupor. They scored 2 goals, could have scored a couple more goals, and it was Uganda's heaviest performance. Uganda's heaviest competitive defeat since Namanya was opened in 1997. Cranes have been quite formidable at Namanya. They haven't lost that many games, because it's a measure of how impressive Uganda has been at home, that you can remember the defeats in Namanya off your fingers. I think we were beaten by Togo, we were beaten by South Africa 20 years ago, and now South Africa again. We haven't scored against Bafana in the games at Namanya. So I think, yes, the country had qualified, but that should have been a celebratory atmosphere. It should have been a carnival-like atmosphere at Namanya on the day, having done the business after Congo failed to beat South Sudan. So for a fully packed stadium at Namanya, I think the kind of party that the fans deserved for having stood through thick and thin with the national team was a glorious performance against Bafana.
Yes.
But what happened on the day was that Cranes were very, very poor, exceedingly poor. And there are many moments in that game where I was asking Mark Ssali whether Cranes were playing with 9 or 8 men, because for large swathes of the game, Uganda were at 6s and 7s. South Africa were passing the ball at ease. And like I said, they could have scored more goals, and it was easily the worst performance I can recall from the national team at home in a very, very long time.
Yeah, it was really an anticlimax. Look, we went into there to celebrate. We everyone, like you said, we had qualified before that, which is, by the way, I give Mark credit for that, because if you remember,
Yes.
in the previous episodes of Mark2Mark, we had this conversation where I insisted that the Cranes still had what to do, and he said they're already through. It turned out he was right, yeah.
Yes.
Anyways, yeah, but it was an anticlimax of a performance. Look, let's get this straight. The Cranes did a great job. They qualified for 2025 on merit. They got themselves in a position where they could qualify with 2 games to spare, which is quite impressive. So this is not to knock them down. They had done the job and they qualified, and so they came into this game. My disappointment with the performance on the day is because I'm looking at the bigger picture, and I'm looking at the future. You cannot fault Cranes for this campaign. Uganda had never qualified with 2 games to spare. Not in the recent past. Never mind what happened in the late 60s and early 70s.
Usually they've been nail-biting finishes,
yeah.
Where you get that odd goal and you know that any college is going to put you on the edge. So this was the first time.
Yeah. So where you
qualified with 180 minutes to spare.
That was impressive. Yeah. The anticlimax for me was that under the circumstances where you already qualified, I would have loved for Paul Put and his team to be more relaxed, to come into the game and enjoy themselves, because they were under no pressure.
Yes.
And then in enjoying themselves, they then actually work with display, as well as display an entertaining game for the fans, or to keep the party mood that Mark is talking about, as well as then start to prepare for what's coming. Look, this is against elite. South Africa is against elite African opposition. And that's the kind you meet in the finals. If you look at the list of the teams, as you can see them on the screen, hopefully, the list of the teams that have qualified, we're not going to be meeting any more Congos and South Sudans. At the AFCON, it's the big boys.
Yes.
And against the big boys, you can't play the way we played against South Africa and survive.
No. We'll be skinned alive.
Yeah, we couldn't keep the ball. We couldn't pass. There's no reason as to why we couldn't pass the ball between ourselves and in a more relaxed manner and enjoy ourselves. Alan Okello was trying to pass on that message by example to some of his teammates, but everybody else was not. It was in a hurry. It was disappointing for me to see, for example, every time Watenga picked up the ball, that's our goalkeeper, punt it forward looking for Rogers Battle or somebody, rather than actually get us to play. Because every time he hit it forward.
I get Ronald Williams, the South Africa goalkeeper, was doing the opposite. Every time he got the ball, he was starting the ball with his full back, with his central midfielder.
He never ever punted the ball forward, because South Africa knew they were under no pressure whatsoever. So they expressed themselves, and eventually the goals came, and they were beautiful when they did, because because of the way they were playing. That second goal actually is one that had Mark on his feet. Even if it was against us, just the beauty of it. If you love ball,
that is one of the best goals that has been scored at Nambole.
Yeah.
Ever.
Wow.
So, but I'll tell you, this is it. So my disappointment was in the fact that we couldn't, when we got the ball, we couldn't keep it. We couldn't possess. And then advance forward to create chances. My talk about the Uganda Cranes now, at the moment, is about the attack. Because I'm looking forward to 2025 AFCON, as well as to the 2027, which we are going to host. And also it is in line with what I believe is supposed to be our identity. So many people know about how I've always argued this out. Even at FUFA they know, because I've even written about it. Because I believe we are supposed to be an attacking nation. It's the only way we're going to brand ourselves in a manner that actually is sustainable. To keep the interest of Ugandans as fans, to keep the interest of the players and the kids who are coming through, to keep the interest of the people who put money in us.
But I think, Mark,
from television and sponsorship.
Mark, I like that you're talking about identity. Now, identity cannot be built at the national team.
I know that.
Identity is built from the grassroots.
What level?
From
No,
the leagues.
I listen. I know all that, and when I was writing that, I did. We are supposed to start down there.
You're not going to build a house from the tiles.
I know about that. Yes, but we look. What I'm saying is, even in the short term, the long-term project is one that has to be from the grassroots, and I've written about that anyway somewhere. I'm on record as having written that. But in the short term, look, even like now, to keep the interest of the people. Look, I saw so many disgruntled fans at Nambole. And it's not because they were looking at the result. It wasn't the scoreboard that was scaring them. It was how we were playing.
I think you're putting it mildly. All the fans were disappointed.
It's how we were playing. So listen, now I'm talking about the attack and how we are supposed, even in the short term, to be able to work on that. Look, we scored 7 goals in this campaign in 6 games. That's a goal a game. But and that is impressive under the circumstances if you look at the way the goals came. But I'm asking for more.
Yeah.
I think I'm asking for more.
Do better.
Because Morocco got 19 goals, Algeria got 16 goals. There were a few other countries in double figures, Burkina Faso, Senegal and all. Well, we scored more goals than Cameroon. We scored more goals than DR Congo. That's impressive.
Okay.
But when I look at it, we had 2 goals from Dennis Omedo, that's our top scorer in the campaign, 2 goals. And then 1 each from his other attack partners, Jude Mugabi and Rogers Mato. And then we had goals from the defenders, Bevis Mugabi and Aziz Kayondo. I'm asking for more goals here. How are these goals going to come? It's the way we build up, the way we play. We have got to be deliberate about our passing, our movement, our pressing up front, our ability to take on and beat men. And it's going to be in synchronicity. Look, when I look at our squad, the attack we had out there, the attack we've had for this campaign, there's been people who have been in and out. I mean, like I talked about the Swedish duo, which had Hope Kabuye and the other guy, Dembe. And I talked about Derek Nswabi, I think at one time was called in as well, didn't play. He wasn't called in this final squad and all. So the final guys who were for these last 2 qualifiers, because we play against the Congo in a dead rubber, the final squad had attackers Mato and Omedo, as well as Semogali, the ones I've talked about, who have actually each scored. And then along with them, you have Stephen Mokwala, and then Hakim Chiwanuka of Villa, and Said Mayanja of KCCA. Now, individually, it's not as if any of those names is going to jump over a team sheet and scare you. Yeah. Maybe Omedo is beginning to get known around Africa, maybe perhaps from some of the goals he scored, especially the one in South Africa. And Mato a little bit. But as a group, as a unit, as long as we're deliberate about what we want to do going forward, these guys can all have the ability to score more than they did in this campaign. But that has got to be deliberate. There were periods in this campaign where I was happy that Put had changed us from the mindset we had under the previous managers.
I think it's tried.
He has. Yeah, I give the credit as well, but I'm asking for more. I think I have a right to ask for more. I am asking for more. I am saying we produced against South Sudan, for example, home and away. And that's the 6 points that actually took us through. We got goals, the kind of goals we scored in South Africa, the one from Omedo and Mato, are not goals you score every single game. They are one-offs. I'm talking about a 40-yarder where brilliant connection and a beaten goalkeeper.
I think that result actually did a lot of, should I say, harm in terms of creating an element of complacency in the Cranes.
South Africa, the 2-2?
The 2-2. I mean, it was a good result. Make no mistake, because we fought, scored 2 goals against Bafana, not so many things to it. But we felt going into the game against Nambole that we could match these guys punch for punch. They're still the better team. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
they're still the better team.
Yes,
but I think
under the relaxed circumstances of that game, they showed who was superior. Because if you have nothing to fight for, then you've got the freedom to play. And they showed the freedom which we couldn't. That was my disappointment.
3 things, Mark, for me, which I think I've got to spell out clearly. One, Cranes have always been a very difficult team to beat, or difficult before Nambole was refurbished. I know that playing tough wasn't exactly very friendly for most visiting teams. Right now, we have a very, very good playing surface in the refurbished stadium. My hunch tells me that it tends to suit teams which have got a better culture, a better passing philosophy, and that's why the Algerians could come and beat us 3-1. It is highly unlikely that Nigeria are going to beat us in the pre-refurbished Nambole. South Africa were very, very comfortable for 90 minutes. They couldn't even have played for 180 minutes, and Cranes are going to be chasing shadows.
So you're saying we have in improving Nambole, we've built a turf which is better for visiting sides than us?
No, yeah.
And I'm saying, we are supposed to make that exactly what suits us.
I've told you what I've told you. Maxwell has told you what he's
All
told
right,
you.
guys, come on.
You can
For me,
make what you want out of
that is supposed to suit us. We are
but-
supposed then to suit to tailor our game to making that an advantage, not a disadvantage. Although I understand where you're coming from, I am like, no.
Yeah, because there are many teams. You're talking about Zambia, you're talking about Egypt, Morocco. They're going to pass that ball till the cows come back home. So, well, secondly, Tadeo Longa. I've had my misgivings about him. Kind of national team. If you're trying to build that kind of culture, well, the technical team know why they called him. I think, there are many players who are better than him in that position right now in terms of the kind of identity Cranes should be building. Probably Paul Put would be able to define his technical team. But what exactly was he thinking?
Well, that's
Because goals change
Guys.
games. Up until then, South Africa were boasting all the possession, but we know goals change games.
Yes.
At 0-0, it was still anyone's game.
Yes.
And from then on, the moment they got the goal, there's always going to be one winner. Because Cranes cannot chase a game.
It was one of those moments. Listen, I've had a lot of conspiracy theories on the streets and all. I don't buy into them. I'm thinking that he made a bad decision. He had 3 options.
He had 5 options. He had 5 options.
He could pass back to Watenga or to one of the fullbacks.
Or even put it out for a corner
Okay,
kick.
that's an option,
Yeah,
one which I don't fancy, but which is why I don't. Which is why, in line with the culture I want us to create, I don't even think of that as an option.
I've seen Stefan Effenberg do it. Stefan Effenberg, the great Stefan Effenberg.
No, I understand.
Well,
No, I know, I get you. I know where you're coming from, yeah. But in summary for me is we have got to make ourselves an attacking team as the Uganda Cranes. It is that aesthetics that is going to keep the interest of some of the fans that the Cranes has won over recently, because not all of them are deep football people like Mark and me, and the rest will appreciate certain other dark arts. The ability to punt the ball out if you need it, the ability to defend with 2 blocks of 4 and a bus if you like, the abilities to be as resilient as we've been over the years with good goalkeepers and great central defenders and fullbacks. That we've had that. But we have also had great attacks. And we are the country that first gave the world, Africa, Philip Omondi. We are the country that eventually gave them Issa Sekatawa and then Majid Mosisi. We are the country that then eventually gave them Andrew Mukasa and Hassan Mubiru.
Mark, there is one point I want to make.
We are the country that is supposed to be going forward and scoring goals.
One thing which most people may not have picked out is that actually the bulk of the South African team is Mamelodi Sundowns. And it was very, very apparent that these guys were playing with a certain chemistry.
Dennis Onyango's people.
Yeah, Dennis Onyango's people. Yeah. So the fluidity, the telepathy, because, and when you're in such a team, it becomes very easy when you get a Patrick Masangwani, the guy scored a second goal, who is playing for Pirates, to come and finish, because the ball is moving, and everyone is picking out one another. Now, obviously, it's going to be a lot harder for Uganda, because you have all these players who are playing in all these far-flung places. So there was a time when I thought maybe KCC were on the brink of creating that kind of hub which is going to support the national team. It didn't quite work out because I think there's been that inclination for players to leave when I think maybe they left one season prematurely. But how easy is it going to be for the national team coach to make the team gel into his image when you don't have the benefit, say, the one which Hugo Bruce has, of most of the players who are home-based. Home-based in South Africa is not home-based in Uganda, obviously. That league is way more professional. But it's a lot easier for him to build that identity.
No, I understand that, Mark. And I get what Mark is saying. And as I summarize, because I see Paul wants us to summarize.
Yes.
Listen, I agree that it's a process.
There was a time when the Cranes was full of express players, then SCL players.
Yeah. I agree it's a process. But look, if we do not push for that process, we get complacent. These guys have played an entire campaign together, and it's not their first. They actually, a good number of them were even in the previous one. I mean, Bobosi Biarhanga should know exactly what Khalid Aucho is thinking, and these guys play together in central midfield, because this is not the first time they're playing together. This was the first campaign they're doing that. And Bevis Mugabe and Halid Walilao or Capradosi, whoever he plays with, should be able to form that partnership. But the rest of the guys, they've played. Aziz Kayondo and has played with some of these guys before. Dennis Omedo and Semugabe play in the same club.
Kenneth Samakula is new, Ronald Sejiganda is new, I would
But they
say
play together at
Ahmed
Villa.
is-
So why
Ahmed
would
is
Semakula
more-
not be able to pass to?
I know.
They'll
you
play
should
together
know
at Villa to
the
pass to
chemistry,
Sechiganda and punt the
how-
ball forward. That's what I'm
Exactly.
saying. We have no excuses. Look, the guys who play for Morocco, and they chop and change as well. But the guys who play for Morocco were not even born in Morocco. There's several of them who are born in the Netherlands and Belgium, and others in Spain. When they come together, I'm talking 19 goals. 19 goals in the qualifiers. Now, Morocco is, somebody might say, I'm being overambitious by comparing us to them. But those are the standards we want to attain.
And those are our potential opponents.
Yeah, they are potential opponents, and the standards we want to attain.
And they're the host nation.
When we host AFCON in 2027, whatever group we get, Ugandans were expecting for us to get out of it. And for the tournament to actually keep alive in our country, we've got to come out of that group. We've got to play good football
Yes.
and come out of that group.
Yes.
And these are the guys, Travis Mutiava, Alan Oke, these guys are still of the age, Omedo, Mato, Semogabi, these are the guys of the age where they will be actually very mature in 2027 and at their peak. So if we ask them to start the culture of playing well together, of syncing now, is when we can achieve what I'm thinking we should achieve in 2027 when we host this tournament.
The challenge.
And for it to be memorable and
Yes.
historic.
Yes.
That's in a nutshell. In a nutshell.
In summary, I think what is very, very apparent is that the technical team and the federation must be deliberate about choosing on whether they're going to build the identity or get the results. Because the argument has always been that we need these results for political reasons. But then, I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it.
Look, we have a dead rub against Congo. Let's go out there and express ourselves better than we did against South Africa. Let's play with a little more freedom, enjoy ourselves, knowing that even if we conceded 10 goals, nobody is taking our AFCON bath away.
Yeah, because
2025
All right,
bath away.
all right, all right. Moving
That's
on.
what I'm asking for.
Mark, you know the age-old argument, which they've been saying, FIFA are getting so much money and the team are not getting results, and yet they're getting the bulk of the sports budget, so they must perform. When they don't perform,
They have performed, so now,
All right,
now let them
gentlemen.
relax.
Now, moving on, guys. Moving like you've seen. I'm trying to keep it together, guys. So just keep up with me. So moving on, we're going to the big abroad. While we're all busy in everything we're doing, a certain gentleman called Ruben Amorim, yes, rode into town like the newest sports, I don't know, world sheriff. I don't know, something like that. I don't know. Is he here to keep the peace, or will he, surprise us one or the other? Let's break it down.
No, he's not here to keep the peace. Look, all the managers that have preceded his arrival, between when Alex Ferguson left in 2013 and today, which is 11 years, have come in there, have been given a bit of a grace period, but eventually what Man United is about has dawned on them. Some of them, it has hit them pretty hard, especially the last one, Eric Ten Hag, because some of the signings he was making made you wonder if you actually realized how big the task at hand was, what kind of competition was going to face, and the kind of the quality that he needed to be able to match that competition. I'm talking Man City at home and then European competition abroad, because Man City are the best in there. So Ruben Amorim cannot be under any illusions. He's not coming in there. They might love him now. They're receiving him at Old Trafford. The players are hugging him.
Yes.
The fans are asking for autographs and everything. But he's probably going to get less time than the guys before him. The guys before him have averaged 2.5 years, 3. I'm talking Van Gaal, I'm talking Ole, I'm talking Mourinho, I'm talking ETH, Ten Hag. And it might be less for him because the pressure is only growing. And so he needs to hit the ground running. Look, he needs to come in there and prove and get United as quickly as possible to start playing the way Sporting were. Yes. Because we know that the pieces are in place. We know that people need time. The reality on the ground is that they're not going to give it. Mark knows. Unlike him, I've always argued for these guys to get time. Mark doesn't have my patience where United managers are concerned. But I know that it's not going to be accorded because most people are thinking like Mark, not like me. And so I'm saying, Ruben, come in there, sort that team out. And this is a person who's everything about his history suggests that he's even going to change his playing style, the system.
Okay.
The system to start with.
Yes,
If you're taking United from the back four that everybody is used to in a 4-4-2 or in a 4-3-3 and playing 3 at the back, you have got to make that work very quickly. And people, the right pieces have got to come in there and then they've got to start playing well, attacking, scoring goals, getting the fans on their side and the guys in the studios, because that's where the opinions are formed in England, and that's where the bandwagon everybody jumps onto. And then after that, then everybody will back him in his first transfer window. Only what he does between now and his first transfer window will accord him the grace, the goodwill to get the money, say, to break the bank for Victor Gyökeres or Victor Osimhen, whatever.
Yes.
Only if he gets this right.
The
quickly.
Manchester United, which was coached by Sam Busby and Sir Alex Ferguson, is long gone, and the game has changed.
Yeah.
United has built its tradition on giving coaches a lot of time, giving them.
Yeah, I've always told you that, and you didn't seem to listen.
Sam Busby had, I think, 2.5 decades at the club. Sir Alex Ferguson had about, I don't know how many, almost 3 decades at the club.
Yeah.
The club the longest.
It has got new ownership. It has got a new culture, new management, new ownership, and everything. We live in an age where the club is so huge, it's such a global behemoth that results are very, very important. You're not going to get a United which is going to go, I don't know how many, 10 trophyless years, because they're trying to build and they're trying to be patient. That era is long gone. Even clubs like Barcelona have always been famed for patience. You know, they gave time to Johan Cruyff, they gave time to Louis van Gaal. But right now, even Xavi, a legend, he's just been given 1 season and then he's booted out. You saw Ronald Koeman, another legend was there. After 1 season, he's booted out. Because the reality is that the game has changed, and the expectations today are such that these clubs, which were famed for patience, are not going to give you all the time.
Yeah.
So for Ruben Amorim, I think one is going to be given time for the simple reason that Ten Hag actually put the Ineos team in a very, very tight position by winning the FA Cup. The paperwork was signed, was going to be fired after the Man City game if City had won the FA Cup final. When he won the title, it put them in a very, very difficult position, especially after the backlash that the club suffered when Louis van Gaal was fired in the immediate aftermath of the FA Cup final victory over Crystal Palace. So they were in a very tight spot, and that's why they decided to reluctantly increase his deal and then give him a war chest to go on and buy all the players he did. I think Amorim is going to get the time because they've scouted him for a very long time. He was actually one of the guys who was standout out in the summer before, along with Thomas Tuchel, before they gave the extension to Ten Hag. I think he's going to be given all the support he needs. I thought the ideal time for him to take over the club would have been at the end of the season, but I'll argue that right now he's taking over the club in November when United have had all these problems. So he won't have the expectations to put in any shift this season. He's obviously going to try to get to the grips with the players he has at his disposal, as his scouting network, which is quite a robust one, singles out the kind of players he wants, together with Dan Ashworth and Jason Wilcox. So I think he has the time to fit into the club and see what exactly he has at his disposal in terms of the playing staff, who fits into his philosophy, who is going to be sold, if not in Jan, in the summer, trim the squad, make it leaner, and then pursue the kind of players who are going to...
needs, yeah. But listen, you're talking about him being given time. One of the things, of course, that's going to happen with him, and the international break might have helped forget a little bit, but as soon as they're back into the Premiership, everybody will remember, is that actually the interim manager just before him, Ruud van Nistelrooy, did really well. Played 4 games, went unbeaten. Of course, the fixtures favored him, but nobody want to listen to the fact that in there, of his 3 wins, 2 were against Leicester, and Leicester not exactly Man City or Arsenal. There was the draw against Chelsea, which was not a bad result. It was impressive, and then a win in Europe, which was rare, which under ETH had become rare, against POK from Greece. But that means that he comes in there with people believing actually that this team can produce more than it was doing under ETH, especially in his last days, because it has under Ruud van Nistelrooy. So he has to come in there and start to work immediately. One of the things that has worked for him, of course, is that he came in during the international break and has had a week to acclimatize with environment and everything, to make friends with players who had not gone to international duty, and there were many, the Kobe Mainos and Mason Mounts and all, guys who are potentially internationals, but who are not, either because of injury or form, had been dropped by their countries. So he worked with those, but also
Mason Mount is not international. Kobe Mainoo is.
well, he has played for England before.
And also,
but anyway,
anyone can play for England.
yeah, but the thing is, one of the things that has, the other thing that has worked for him, apart from the time of settling in, is somehow United players have timed this as their return from injury, and Ten Hag had quite a list. If you see that Luke Shaw should be chomping at the bit to play, and Talia Malacia is running up and down on the pitch. Lenny Yoro wants to play. I've just talked about Mount, but Mainoo and most of the guys who are not available for ETH in his last days are going to be available.
And it also helps that he's playing Ipswich. He has on paper the ideal game for.
But the pressure is going to be on. Actually, Mark, I have a big suspicion, and look away if you're United diehard right now. United might not win that game. Ipswich have been scoring goals.
Yes,
they have been resilient. They've not been winning games, and yet in almost each one of those games they've scored. I've thought that they've been unlucky.
They beat Spurs in their last game.
Oh, the last one, yeah. They work hard. They run their socks off. They play the old-fashioned.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about it in the predictions.
And Amorim had bet it might be a baptism of fire. Not against a big side, but against a potential banana skin.
No, United will be
Never mind.
United will take care of it.
All right. Now, talking European football, first off, you're going to look at CR7, that's Cristiano Ronaldo. Still unstoppable, guys. Guy, like, he's aging like fine wine, you know. And now my only question is he going to, keep playing on until they rename the Ballon d'Or after him, or what? I'm trying to understand this.
Now, listen, this is not Mark's favorite subject, of course. He and I are on totally different sides of this Ronaldo fence. And we've had so many fights in other forums. But the thing is that, it's amazing how the guy has kept himself in shape. And after the anticlimax that was the World Cup for him in Qatar, Portugal getting knocked out the way they were, and then his arch nemesis, Lionel Messi, actually winning it, it looked like it was over internationally for Cristiano. And because he had moved to the Saudi Pro League, it looked like it was basically over. He was going to become irrelevant in that league, and if not playing for Portugal anymore, would disappear off the scene. But this guy's character has been such that he's been defiant throughout his entire career. And at that moment, because I remember very well, Mark actually wrote on our forum, on one of our forums, and said this guy should retire right now. He's embarrassing himself and everybody else and things like that. And so many other guys shared that view, and I could understand where they were coming from. But I am such a Ronaldo fan that I wasn't buying into it. But even I didn't think that he would look this good 2 years after that World Cup. But he's been scoring goals in this Nations League campaign. The brace he got against Poland in midweek was last week was absolutely amazing. The penalty was a Panenka. And the other goal was just superb. It was one of those to be talked about. But the shape he's in is really good. The numbers are staggering. That was goal number 135, taken in spectacular style in 217 games for Portugal. And it takes him to 905. This is a guy who's now chasing a total of 1,000. He's already the highest scorer in the history of football, and is looking to cement that. The thing is, we have got to celebrate that. We've got to celebrate that and what it means. It's just mind-boggling that anybody can be like that.
Listen,
like Cristiano Ronaldo has been.
I've been accused of being an enemy of Cristiano Ronaldo.
You are.
I've met Cristiano thrice, and I have pictures of Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yes, he was once your guy.
And I mean, I have nothing against Cristiano Ronaldo. I think he has a Hall of Fame career. If there's anything like that in football, he's one of the legends of the game, one of the top 10 greatest players of all time, potentially the greatest goal scorer there's ever been. But the fact of the matter is that Ronaldo, I think, is doing a huge disservice to Roberto Martinez and Portugal, because everything Cristiano Ronaldo is doing right now is for himself. It's for his legacy. And I think his legacy is etched in stone. He's just trying to score as many goals, to break records and extend his career, but for himself. It's not for Portugal. He's doing Portugal a huge disservice, and Martinez is such a timid manager that the coach of Portugal is Cristiano Ronaldo. When Fernando Santos, the Portuguese coach at the World Cup, dropped Ronaldo, he was dropped as Portugal coach, and this is the guy who won Portugal I think their first European championship in history. You could argue Ronaldo was an integral part of that team, but Fernando Santos was the coach. And when he dropped him in the World Cup, he was booted out of the job. Yet I thought that Ronaldo was dropped purely for footballing reasons. I think Portugal were always going to win their UEFA Nations League games, whether Ronaldo was on the pitch or not. Those are not games where Rafael Leao was going to fail to score goals, or Goncalo Ramos or whoever. The challenge with Martinez, and I think Ronaldo at the back of his head, he thinks that he's going to go to the 2026 World Cup in the US and will be leading the Portuguese line at the World Cup.
Wow.
Now, if that is not being, I don't know which one to use, but Portugal's chances are going to be diminished by Ronaldo.
You're basically, Mark is saying Ronaldo is being selfish. Which I can't argue against. He has always been.
Listen, Mark.
That's the word to use.
I think. I mean, when did Zidane retired? Zidane. Arguably France's greatest player of all time. Zidane was still fit. He was at the peak of his powers. After the World Cup final, he said, "I've done and I've retired." Footballers are made of a different ilk, and Ronaldo has this obsession for records, for stats, to push himself as long as he can go, and that's a testament to his fitness, to his single-mindedness. But right now, at the stage of his career, I don't think Ronaldo can enhance his legacy. He can only diminish it.
No, yeah, well, you might say he can't enhance it, but actually, if he hits 1,000, he would have enhanced it. The thing is, though, I think he might not even hit 1,000 because he's got 90 odd goals to score. That's another 3-4 years of playing football. And unless he's going to get 50 odd this season, when he's in peak shape, which I don't see. The thing though is that what I see is rather than then send him away the way Mark is saying and say retire and get away and let's move on, the best thing to do under the circumstances, because he's saying when you talk about legacy, there's still the odd chance that he could go to 2026 World Cup and win it.
We saw him at the Euros. What was his contribution at the Euros?
What you have to do?
His contribution at the Euros?
No, listen.
Because the UEFA Nations League, I mean, you're going to get anyone and you're going to score.
You can have a bad tournament, even at a young age. Kylian Mbappe has already won a World Cup, being one of the best players in it in Russia, and then had a terrible one.
Which terrible one? He had a good tournament in Qatar.
Well. He had a good tournament in Qatar. Then had a terrible Euros. He was really. I mean, he's one of the reasons France.
But no one is going to question why
he was so bad at the Euros. In between, by the way, both Euros, he was so bad and won World Cup and reached the final. But never mind.
I actually think
my argument is
minus Ronaldo, I think Portugal were going to go very far in the Euros.
I don't think so. I think the situation was mismanaged, and which is why I was going to go here and say, listen, if you're manager, if you're in charge of Portugal, and Ronaldo still can give you something.
Ronaldo is in charge. Martinez is not in charge of Portugal.
But so is Messi, and you won't agree with Messi is in charge of Argentina. Is he much younger?
Well, Messi is younger. Messi is 2 years younger. Argentina world champions. Argentina champions of Copa America.
There you are. There you go. Mark has two standards.
Messi is 2 years.
Two different standards for Messi and Ronaldo. But never mind.
Messi is 2 years younger. Argentina champions of Copa America. Champions of the World Cup, actually back-to-back champions of Copa America.
Never mind. Listen, what I'm saying is this, is that
and Messi reinvented himself.
Ronaldo is at an age where it's very easy for a manager to sit him down in a meeting and tell him, look, this is my plan.
Not Martinez.
I am not going to play you 90 minutes of every game.
Not Roberto Martinez.
I am going to do this for your own longevity and for the good of you and Portugal.
Not Roberto Martinez.
I am going to help you for you to ride the back of these guys and win a World Cup.
Not Roberto Martinez, Mark.
At a very old age, but not by making you the main man all the time.
I think Ronaldo appointed Roberto Martinez as the coach.
No, I don't think he did. I don't think he did.
You're making it sound like he's too old. Well,
no.
Let's move on.
Mark will never agree on this one. But anyway, let's go.
Let's move on to Man City Spurs. Let's see what Pep is all about right now. I don't know if this could also end in checkmate or...
Yeah, we'll predict on it. We'll predict on it, pal. But this was just to bring it out to highlight the fact that Spurs are one of the teams that actually have given Pep a bloody nose since he came into
They always
the
have.
English
They
Premier
always
League.
have.
Always, yeah.
They've seemed to be able to match Pep punch for punch. There are teams and managers that have beaten Pep in the Premier League, but not by playing as well as them, not by standing them head to toe and passing the same as them and outrunning them and things like that. It has been usually by being cautious, by putting men behind the ball and hitting them with a sucker punch and a counter and all. Spurs come into games against Man City fearless, totally fearless. The other team that do that is Brighton, but Spurs do it even better. And this is a city that has been wobbly, and that makes for good viewing. I didn't think Pep would lose 4 games on the trot. When he lost 3, when we were here last week,
Yes.
and you asked me, I said Pep was going to win at Brighton. Mark, to his advantage, said they wouldn't win there. Even if he didn't give Brighton the win, he at least said City wouldn't win, which I give him credit for. But they lost. So that's 4 on the trot. I don't see them losing 5.
In a row,
but unfortunately for Pep, and I didn't think I would ever say this about him at any point in his career, unfortunately for Pep, it's perhaps the wrong fixture for the situation he's in. Because
I think the
Spurs are absolutely going to give them no respect,
The best
and
thing,
they will match them.
I think the best thing to happen to Man City was the break. They needed it more than any team in the Premier League. And I think that break has done them a world of good. And for the first time in a long time, I would make a large stake on Man City actually beating Spurs. Because they just have to win that game. Kevin De Bruyne is back. Haaland scored a hat-trick in the
Nations League, for Norway.
In the Nations League. And I think 1 or 2 players are coming back from injury. I think Man City should take care of business. It will not be straightforward, but I mean, the law of averages dictates that there's supposed to be, there's bound to be a change in their fortunes.
We'll call that in the predictions.
All right, moving on to AC Milan, Juventus.
That's the biggest, on paper, the biggest game in Europe this weekend. When international break is over and we come back into league football.
Okay.
Traditionally, this has been a title decider many times in the Premiership, in the Serie A rather. But it's not this year, not necessarily, because Napoli are top of the table and Inter are better than everybody else in that league. So AC Milan and Juventus are still on recovery path. Well, Milan have won a title in recent times. Juventus on the mend, but it's going to make for very, very good viewing. I've seen some of the Juve games and I've liked the way they are playing again under Allegri. But I'm an AC Milan fan, and I also fancy our chances. We don't have the big names of the past. It's not the AC Milan that used to have Ruud Gullit, Marco van Basten, and Frank Rijkaard, or even the one that would have the George Weahs or the Inzagis and the Kakas and all. But the guys who have come, even rejects from the English Premier League, who have actually slotted in there and are playing better than I thought they would. Christian Pulisic for one. And
Fikayo Tomori.
Fikayo Tomori is doing well at the back. But I like Tijani Reinders from the Dutchman, and the rest of the guys, Rafael Leão, we just talked about him for Portugal, and a few of the other guys at AC Milan, Noah Okafor comes off the bench and all. They're doing well, they're playing well in attack, and they're looking good. I think it makes for good viewing, this game in the Italian Serie A, and it's got the potential to be high scoring. Again, for me, it's part of the recent recovery of the Serie A. The things Napoli have done over the last couple of years, the things Atalanta have done over the last couple of years, Inter Milan coming and being dominant there and looking like the part in the Champions League as well, and then AC Milan and Juventus on the mend. It augurs well for the Serie A. It speaks good things about a league which had actually fallen on hard times, and this game would be a good advert for the Serie A this weekend.
Yes. Absolutely. Always a massive game, AC Milan, Juventus. And I like Juve. I watched them. They playing. I think was it the 4-4 which they played with. Inter Milan, potentially one of the games of the season. They scored that many goals, but they also leak that many goals too. I like Vlahovic. They've got actually quite a potent attack. I think it's one of those games which could go either way. We'll get to the predictions about it, but. It's, like you said, Paul, that's, I think, the biggest game in Europe this weekend.
All right, now on to elsewhere abroad. Let's look at Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. I don't know what era we're into. Is it sports or we're scripting for another Netflix drama, like serious things? But I need
No,
to
I'll
understand.
let Mark go first because I know his take and I'm going to disagree. I warn you already.
Oh, yeah?
I'm going, yeah, but
Wow,
let's
guys.
hear from Mark.
Yeah, I think it was a fight which Mike Tyson entered into for the money. But the Tyson is bounced back. Tyson made so much money in the 1980s, but typically, I mean, the kid was illiterate from Brownsville, lost his mother at a tender age, didn't know who his father was. He lost his biological father, I think, was never part of his life, and then the one who became his
Trainer.
his naturalized father also was never part of his life. So he had a very difficult upbringing, made so much money, and he squandered it in the 1980s. And then of course, was imprisoned, came back from prison, and then became a multimillionaire, and also squandered it. So this is Tyson, who's been given a third lease of life in the finances, and he's bounced back. He has a huge cannabis farm, hundreds of acres, which are raking in some good millions of dollars. And so this was a fight purely for Mike Tyson to make money. He got $20 million. That was the deal, to win back into a fight with a YouTuber, that is Jack Paul, the brother of Logan Paul. And there were 8 rounds of 2 minutes each. And it was such a massive sale, because Tyson has always been a draw.
Yes.
I think Tyson, even at 100 years, walking on a walking stick, would still be a big draw, because that was the power of Mike Tyson. He was such a terrifying force in the division in the 1980s, when he was easily the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. The Tyson of today was obviously going to be a shell. 58 and 27 is Tyson. Mike Tyson was fighting his son, and there's always bound to be one winner. I thought he gave a fairly good account of himself in lasting the distance. He didn't throw any punch of note in that fight. He was just enduring through to see through the 8 minutes, and I think it was very, very smart work for someone who was going to earn $20 million over how many minutes? 16 minutes?
Yeah.
Not bad business.
Listen, yeah, but I'll give the guy credit. And there's a few conspiracy theories about how he didn't do in the ring some of the things he had done in training because of pre-contractual agreements. I won't go into those about a contract I haven't seen. But the thing is that lasting 2 minutes in the ring and then doing it 8 times over at 58 is a tough ask.
Yeah.
It's a very tough ask. And Tyson managed to stay on his legs for that entire time. Well, Jack Paul says they slowed down and didn't want to hurt the guy and things like that. Yeah, we know this is not the Tyson who beat Leon Speaks or Larry Holmes or those guys, Tony Tucker, Tony Tubbs, Frank Bruno, the guys he beat, and in his prime. But it's testament to endurance, to character, to the ability to fight from down. And I think the fighter in him has triumphed for him in life, because there's so many things that have knocked Tyson down. Many people would have given up.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, many people would have given up. That prison sentence, they lost to James Buster Douglas, and the prison sentence after the rape charges at Desiree Washington was supposed to have knocked that career out. He still came back, lost fights to Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield twice, but he still won fights even than when he came back. He's been knocked down in so many different ways. I mean, the other day he was talking about something. I'll say it on here anyway. He was talking about how he had a threesome with a friend of his and a girl, and both of them actually had HIV, and they later died of AIDS. And he doesn't have AIDS. Yeah. He never contracted it. Yeah. And he was talking about the things that have kept knocking him down, and the chances that he has been gotten, and how he has taken them. Because Tyson is actually a good father. This is a guy who didn't have a father, but I think has been a good father to his kids. Yeah.
He lost
under
his
the circumstances.
He lost his
daughter,
kid, Exodus, who was struck by a cord on a treadmill.
Yes.
And it shattered him, typical for any father.
But he picked himself up even from that tragedy. Yeah. So for me, the life lessons from a Mike Tyson are the ones which made me happy to see him walk into that ring
but also Mark,
where many people were saying, what is he doing apart from picking up money? I was like, you're inspiring people like me. Mike, let's go.
Not so many sportsmen. Let me talk about sportsmen. Have been millionaires at the peak of their careers, and then hit rock bottom, and then come back to become millionaires.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not so many.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a testament to his drawing power that at 58 years, Tyson could fill that stadium, the Dallas Cowboys Stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an 80,000 seater.
Yeah, and when you talk about
and those people came to watch Mike Tyson.
Not even the other guy, by the way.
Jack Paul has so many followers on Instagram and on YouTube. He's a YouTuber.
Together with his brother Logan Paul.
Logan Paul and all, yeah. So, but don't be fooled. The stadium was not filled by his followers. It was filled by guys who come to see Mike Tyson. Yeah. Which is why it was an anticlimax of a bit, because many people still wanted him to throw the punches that he did. In fact, I've seen complaints about how he didn't throw any left hooks. I mean, rather not any uppercuts. Vintage Tyson and there were opportunities there. I thought there were times when Jack was open for a Tyson uppercut followed by the hook. I used to knock people out, and he didn't.
Mark, 2-3 months ago, because this fight should have happened, I think, in June or July.
Yeah.
It was postponed because Tyson suffered a health scare. He collapsed, and he had there was a lot of blood transfusion done on him. He was throwing up. It was.
There were eight in total. This is the stuff, the life lesson I'm talking about, seeing Tyson in the ring. So many things he had to pick himself up from. And it's an inspiration to me.
And still risk to come back and
an inspiration to me under the circumstances.
Okay. So now the NBA Cup is here. Finally something new for the fans to argue about. I don't know if it's just like another shiny side dish or, you know.
It is actually.
Or if it's going to actually spice up
but it does spice up the NBA, because sometimes that 82 regular season can be a procession. And because there's so many games back to back, players these days are even doing some load management and things. So you'll find games in which some superstars are missing because they have to catch a flight from Atlanta and go and play again in LA the next day and things like that. It's a bit tough on them. And they can actually go through the motions. That's when you find there's not great defense, which is what the NBA is accused of these days. There's not enough defense.
Kawhi Leonard.
People are allowed. People are chucking up threes, and guys are allowed to go into the paint unattended to and get to the hall. So many lobs are being set and being dunked. People are being dunked on without trying. But it's because the season is long and physically demanding. But when in the middle you throw up something which is not typical of American sport, because we've been talking about football in Europe, and these guys are used to the fact that you might play league matches, you might be leading by 10 points and looking like you're going to be the champion, but in midweek you have an FA Cup game which is a one-off. You either win it or you're out of the tournament. So you lift yourself up because it's the FA Cup, even if it's against that division opposition and you're in the top tier. So the American sport doesn't have that. The NBA didn't have anything like that. So inserting an NBA Cup in the middle of the season is not a bad thing under the circumstances. These games still count onto the league, but they are a knockout of their own. There's a group stage and then knockouts in between. And last season, the LA Lakers and LeBron James won that, even if they would eventually disappoint for the rest of the season. At least there was a period in which James and those guys looked like the part because they had to lift themselves up for it. This season, as a few other teams have done that. And the funny thing about it, when I tell you, for example, in the Eastern Conference, the teams which are the weaker ones have already qualified for the knockout phase. Teams like the Atlanta Hawks and even the Detroit Pistons, who were bottom of the league last year, have already qualified for the knockouts, along with Orlando Magic, who are a pretty decent team, mid-table decent team. But the teams which are supposed to be the bigger ones actually struggling to get in there. I don't see Celtics anywhere, and I see the Bucks and the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are the best team in the NBA right now, are waiting to see if they will qualify for the knockouts. Yet the Detroit Pistons, who are the worst, are already through the knockouts. And so they are on standby. So are the Milwaukee Bucks with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Western Conference, same thing. You've got OKC, very good team. They've qualified. You've got Steph Curry and the Warriors. They've qualified. They're playing really well. But you've got the Houston Rockets as well qualifying. And yet there are certain other teams on standby, waiting to see if they can make the next stage. And they include actually the LA Lakers and LeBron. And I don't see Denver anywhere, for example, or the Dallas Mavericks, which are the two best teams in the Western Conference right now. So that shows you that they've thrown a cup element to NBA basketball, which is exciting and different.
Okay. Yes, Mark.
I mean, talking about the NBA, Mark, you can't start from anywhere other than the Cleveland Cavaliers. They are 15-0. and it's incredible. I mean, they're the fourth team to be 15-0 after the Washington Capitals, 1949, Houston Rockets, 1994, and then the Golden State Warriors in 2016 when they went on to win the championship.
And the Rockets won.
Oh, actually, the Warriors never won the championship. Actually, when they
lost that was the
73-99 season. I mean, the Cavs. How long can they go? 15-0. They're looking good. Kenny Atkinson, their coach, has even started doing some bit of load management. When they beat the Bobcats, Charlotte Hornets, they didn't have Donovan Mitchell, who was not injured. He was just rested, and then they brought in Ty Jerome, and he had a career high 25 points. So, I mean, it's incredible what the Cavs have done, looking very good, solid backcourt, they have a good front court, they're riding on a wave of belief, and I can't wait to see how that Cinderella run goes. I'd love them to have a crack at that Warriors run of 24-0.
Yeah, absolutely. And who would have thought that Cleveland Cavaliers team would actually look this good without LeBron?
Yes.
Without LeBron.
The biggest challenge for the Cavs, their next team is Boston Celtics, the defending champions. So wait and see how they'll go.
All right, so now we're coming back home, and we're going to get into a bit of golf. There is Mark here on my left. I think he's going to take us through.
Well, where else to start but the Clash of Titans, which happened over the weekend at Entebbe Golf Club. So the Clash of Titans was started 3 years ago by my classmates from Namanya, Milton Edim, Hilary Bamulinde, Edwin Tabaro, Philemon Moviru, and a couple of other guys. And it started as a conversation because we were in Fort Portal actually. We'd gone to Fort Portal for a golf trip. And we said, why can't we start a competition among the schools? It's become the biggest, arguably the biggest tournament on the golf calendar, because over the weekend in Entebbe, this is the third season, you had just about each and every school in the country. You had in Ntare, St. Mary's College, Subi, you had, of course, Namanya College, you had King's College, Budo, you had Mwiri, you had Mbara High School, Chapa, you had Bwenanyanji, you had Mary Hill, you had Namagunga, you had Gayaza, you had Navamali, you had Mbara, you had Ombachi, you had just about everything. The tournament was so oversubscribed that, I mean, for the first time, Entebbe had 260 golfers on the course, which is
for the first time
unprecedented, because it affected the pace of the game, and I think there's got to be a rethink. But at the end of the day, the school which prevailed was Ntare. Ntare has dominated us in more ways than one. So they emerged as the champions. They had a couple of guys who played over 40 points. Sam Kachenjira got 41 points. They had Kevin Nyesiga. They had many guys who scored tremendously in the stable foot format. You had St. Mary's College, Subi, unfortunately, finishing as second runner-up. I wish they had finished a bit lower. And then you had my school, Namanya College, finishing third. And King's College Budo was fourth. So it was a big tournament. It's getting bigger and better. And hopefully next year, Namanya College will probably go a bit higher in the seedings. Because the inaugural winner was King's College Budo. Then SMAC won it last year. Now you have Ntare. I think next year should be Namanya.
Well, interesting. What I like, it's a really great innovation. The reason why I say that is the banter I have seen on the different WhatsApp groups I'm on, including those of mature people. There's one which has, for example, the presidents of the different federations in Uganda that run the different sports and all. Once the golf president put it on that forum, the banter started, and you should see the people who were fighting. And I mean, the only school and things and all.
Yes.
Yeah, I was there in Kamoli. Until somebody actually tried to talk bad about SMAC.
And then now they popped you there.
One of the things I love though about, I didn't even know SMAC had been champions the year before, which is good. But
which is very unfortunate.
From the videos I've seen, they definitely are still the champions of the dance beat. Because when they got in there and did the jabba on stage, I don't think there's any other school that danced like SMAC. You tell me you were there.
I was there, and the DJ did a service, because you can't just dance jabba on any song. So next year, I think we shall manage the machines.
I need to attend some of those weddings.
It's a SMAC preserve, But
SMAC has some very good golfers. I mean, they've got Jimmy Ruhanga, solid golfer, Paul Habarimana, very, very good golfer. They have got Paul Charles Rukundo. a couple of guys there who are, well, I mean, very,
And
very,
that
very
will
solid.
include me in the next edition anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll add colour to Smart, the lefty, and all. Yeah, and revive my. Every time I represented Smart,
The other
it stood
aspect
out. So.
about the Clash of Titans is that all age brackets. I mean, you had guys like Senior George Agado, he's 8 years, representing his school. You had guys from people who are 70s, 60s, because golf can be played by anyone of any age.
Yes.
As long as you play your handicap, it's Stableford, you contribute so many points. We had on Emilango Obi, Ambassador Nesta Odaga, who got 39 points. And I mean, it was brilliant. And seeing him in the Milango college tie with the shorts and then those stories.
The one thing I know, pal, the one thing I'll tell you, you might not know, but Mark knows it even if he cannot admit it on camera, is that all my life, not in anything I participated in, I never ever lost to Namanya. Never. Beat them in the basketball, badly, the football, everything that I played when I played.
And that is because
now I'm coming to the golf course.
That is because you never played rugby.
Namiriango, beware. I'm coming to the course.
I guess you've all had that, okay? So now we have, let's look into the City Oilers, pushing for the BAL glory.
Yeah, City Oilers are Ugandan champions of the last 10 years. It's they've dominated the championship in Uganda. And they won what they call their La Decima, their 10th title and all. But they've fallen on hard times in the BAL. They've competed. It's a very expensive venture. BAL is the African Champions League equivalent of basketball. And City Oil have always participated. It's a very expensive venture. It takes you to different capitals around Africa. And so you have to come up with lots of money and go there, compete, qualify for the next one and the next one. That's the way it has been done. And now they're preparing to go for the Elite 16 this year. Every time they've made it to that last 8, they've never got out of the group stages. This is what they're looking to do this time, yeah. So thankfully for them, it's next door in Kigali. It should be a little cheaper for them, relatively speaking, than having to go to Alexandria in Egypt or in Tunis or Cape Town or even sometimes in Luanda, in Angola. So now they're going to Kigali, where they actually have their fan base from Kampala can go, and they have a few guys who support them in Kigali as well. But that tournament has been postponed to the end of the month. It's rumored to be between November 26th and maybe December 3rd. They've put together a team, as they usually do. Usually they have the domestic guys who win the title for them, and then they beef them up with Americans and a few other foreigners, especially for size and experience and skill and experience. They bring to the team. They managed to bring Petit Parish, the American, to play some league games for them here now in football, which is a good thing. But he's been joined by Jermaine Roback in camp, because I was in Lugogo and I was seeing these guys train. And they've got a new big guy, a Nigerian called Israel Otobo, who knows his way around the region because he's played in Burundi and in Rwanda as well. And they have Philando Jones to come from the US as well. So it will be a strong team. That plus, of course, the local lads, Titus Luwal and Fayed Bale and Ivan Mwezi and the veteran Ben Komakech. Those guys are still playing. So it makes for a strong team to go down there and try and compete in the Elite 16. We'll see how that one goes, but like I said, it's a quite expensive venture. You can imagine the tickets they have to fork out for the guys who come from the US. And they're paying them at a run in these runs upwards. From what I've heard, of course, none of them will tell me officially. But from what I've heard, they pay them upwards of $7,000 for this stage, and about $20,000 for the last 8. It's a lot of money, and then of course they have to take care of the local lads as well. It's it's tough, but it's because it's in Kigali. We will likely, even I'm likely to go down.
Mark,
and support them. When they're in the local league, I don't support City Oil. But when they represent Uganda, I'm on their side.
Mark, I'll say this. And I mean, do you think we know how Oxy, James Okello, and then Ivan Anabu, is it Ivan Jimmy Anabu, left City Oilers? I thought that exit, that departure should have been handled better. I thought it was needlessly acrimonious for guys who had been very, very glorious servants of the club for such a long time. I mean, you can never depart what Oxy and and Jimmy Nabo did for Oilers, regardless of how they parted.
They will be two of the greatest in their history for as
Absolutely.
long as City Oilers exist. Yeah.
But
That should have been handled better. That was a bit ugly. These are guys who are supposed to be even sitting up in the stands in the box when Oilers are playing, because they should have left in a better way.
Oilers should actually retire their jerseys.
Retire their jerseys, put them up in the rafts, and then give them some sort of testimonial and things like that. It was a bad parting of ways, and it left a bad taste in the mouth.
One of the sticking points, and I've done my investigation around the exits of Oxy and Jimmy Nabo, were because I think there was a bit of preferential treatment to the guys who come from abroad to play ball. And they're given some, should I call them, also obscene, but the wages, there's a big differential in
the disparity is big.
The disparity is big. I want to believe that issue has been harmonized, because certainly it was one of the issues which caused the rift between Jimmy and
City. That's true. City Oilers didn't handle that exit, that departure well. But then they were handed the opportunity. Actually, it's an eye-opener for them to perhaps deal with player management issues and remuneration better. And they're in a better position than any other league club to do that. Basketball league club to do that. But also going forward, I think it's not too late for actually either side to extend an olive branch, so they get, but just for the good of basketball. It can't continue to. It can't be that that's the end of the story between Jimmy and Oxy and City Oil is the way it was. That is something that can be mended, I believe. But never mind, we'll move on.
All right, so with all this, well, here's my take, like what you've been discussing regarding basketball. Okay, I think over the weekend we had the Elgon Cup. Okay, that's rugby. And of course, some people are like, but I think sometimes people need to also be exposed, like, sometimes, okay, like you mentioned, there are guys who come from abroad who are in abroad teams, and people are like, I think we needed these people to be here for us to win. But I think sometimes, okay, let's agree, of course, them being out there, they're trained better, the exposure and all that. But then also, like you said, like they should be able to manage, even find a way to balance with the teams right here. Because sometimes they might feel a little bit of differential treatment.
Yeah, but Paul, that happens across many sports disciplines here in the country. Even with the football, there's always been arguments in the stands. You can hear them even in the media and everywhere about the players who come. It's not that their allowances are different. I don't think it is, especially now, it's no longer the case. The allowances are the same across board. But the feeling that players here, for example, if guys come from abroad, they're more likely to play than the home-based players, because there's preferential treatment for them and things like that. But for me, it was always understandable. One, they were spending a lot of money on them to bring them down. It doesn't make sense for you to bring a Capadosi down from Italy or a Bobo Sibiarhanga from the US. A ticket from Austin to Entebbe must be So why are they coming down here if they're not going to play at all? That's the way it is. Thankfully now there's a good mix, and the importance of say the Chitara boys to this Cranes campaign cannot be underestimated. So in rugby, I assume it's the same.
And of course, Mark, right now, unlike then, right now most of these federations have got a little bit more money than back in the day. So it shouldn't be so much of an issue, say, for FUFA, that you're spending, I don't know, 4K to fly.
Let them invest in
or for the rugby guys to bring down
Okoroch, because it's different. It's different,
Okay, and of course, even lately, I've been seeing our footballers celebrate their goals. Like, it's crazy. Sometimes I wonder if they actually do these stunts on the pitch, or they have to scroll through TikTok.
Some of them do prior to...
Okay, so now onto the predictions, okay? We had talked of Man City Spurs.
Man City Spurs, I'm going for a 3-1 Man City.
I'm also going to bet this time, 3-1.
3-1 as well.
I think you must have...
Okay, I am going for a draw.
Okay.
City and Spurs to draw at the Etihad,
Arsenal Forest.
Arsenal should beat Forest. Have been playing well, and Arsenal have been wobbly. I like the way Forest play. They're also fearless. They attack. Hudson Odoi and whoever plays up front, whether it is Tao Winnie and all, they actually play well. They attack. Morgan Gibbs White and the former United man. I like the way they attack Forest, and they're fearless and everything, and they score goals, lots of goals in most of their games. But Arsenal have also been on a bad run, which and I think the break came in time for them, as it did for City. They should recover and begin to win again. This is the game from which they start to win again. And I fancy them to win 2-1.
1-1.
2-0 for me.
Wow.
All right, let's go Southampton, Liverpool.
Liverpool will win that one at St. Mary's. Again, Southampton themselves have been battling, and they had their defender Jordan Bellis score his first international goal on his debut for England in midweek against the Republic of Ireland. He epitomizes what Southampton have been about this year: fight, and all. But Liverpool will break them down. I fancy Liverpool to win that away, and I actually fancy them to get a 2-0.
Oh well, for this one we think I like 2-0 for Liverpool as well.
4-1 for me.
4-1 for Southampton.
Yes.
For Southampton or for Liverpool?
No, for Southampton. You wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it.
Well,
wait for
You're
it.
the betting man's dream, because if that came off, your phone will be ringing off the hook for the next ones.
No, put it this way: if Southampton beat Liverpool by more than 2 goals, I'll do the next show without my shirt on. No jacket, no shirt.
All right, that's on record. Okay, we have Leicester, Chelsea.
Chelsea should win that. Leicester have fallen a hard time as well. They lost recently a few games. No, I fancy Chelsea to win that. I'm going 2-1 Chelsea.
Who is at home?
Leicester.
They're solid at home.
I'm going for 1-1 draw.
2-2.
1-1.
2-2 for me, yes. We have Napoli versus Roma.
Napoli versus Roma. I'm going for Napoli home win. I'm going for 1-0.
2-1 Napoli.
3-2. We have Congo, Uganda. Tell us. Hey.
Uganda. I'm going for a draw. I'm going for a score draw. 1-1. Away.
Congo, Uganda. Let me go for an away win. I'm going for a 1-0 Uganda Cranes. Smash and grab.
Uganda won.
Smash and grab.
1-0 for me as well. All right, guys. Thank you so much for sticking with us with all this banter and the craziness. We're getting into the weekend. It's going to be fully packed as well, so watch out and feel free to throw in some comments in the comment section, and all our social media pages as well. That's Mark2Mark. That's Mark with a 2. On all platforms. Thank you so much. Please, till next time, stick around.